Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode of the ARCHLine.XP webinars for the intermediate level. I'm Ilish and I'm an architect, and today I'm talking about how to work with materials and how to create materials, how to modify the materials, how to prepare the textures, what's the difference between the texture and the material, and how to apply them on different surfaces. So we have a lot to cover. Let's see what's the first thing that we should do. Now I've loaded a project which is based on a project from one of our users, which we are very thankful for. And today I'm gonna use this this project, its different surfaces, to apply those materials that I'm willing to create. If you have any questions during this session, please do type your questions and I will answer in the end. And also, if you watch this show a little bit later, should you have any sort of comment, please comment below. We will answer your comments, and if you like this content, please like the video. Okay, so what we have here, this is a very simple kind of excerpt of a building. It's just one part of this building. It's only the living room and dining combination here. We have a few separate views that we can go through for, and these are all the views that I'm willing to use today. So I think I will use some first well, I can see this wall surface because I would like to demonstrate how to create a material on a very large surface first, so you will see it very simply. So now I'm about to create a material. So whenever you would like to create a material, I mean, not just using materials that ARCHLine.XP by default provides. You can find all the materials in the design center, in the materials, and here are the libraries. You can find a bunch of built-in materials, but that's never enough. You should be able to create your own materials based on colors, based on any sort of texture, based on perhaps photographs that you have created. So today we will look at how to do that. Now, if you would like to create a new material, first things first, you should head to this part where you can find the materials. You should go to Design Center, the materials, and you should find a library here. Now, the main libraries are something that you cannot modify. You cannot create new ones, but sub-libraries you can create inside these categories. So the first thing that I'm willing to create is a sort of a wallpaper or coloring for a wall surface. So I will just go to the wallpaper library, and I think I will go to the standard library now. So I see all those materials that I have previously created or that the software is shipped with. So let's see what is going on with that. Let's just give me 1 second. I need to check the other screen if everything is going right. Just a second. I try to not to close the windows here on the other screen. Okay, so I think everyone's here and you can see this this clearly. I hope so. So yeah. Okay, so let's go on and see what we need to do. So to create the new material, you head into the wallpaper library and you just hit this little button here. That is the tiny cogwheel for it's kind of a local menu for the Design Center material library, and here you can see whatever you can do with the material options here. So you can obviously create a new material, so you need to click on the new material option, and then the software will bring up a new dialog with the default name, with the default color, with the default whatever you would like to do. And if you would like to kind of create your material based on a simple base color, then you should head here, click here, and select either you can kind of mix a color on your own. You can use the Windows color mixer. It's very easy. You can just pick a color, pick the tone, and then you're good to go. You can give it a name, or you can go to a color table and select any sort of color that you would like to go with. And for example, if you know a certain RAL color that you would like to go with, I'm looking for a specific gray, which is coded 7031, and that is a kind of nice gray which I found is good for this surface. It was a blue gray. So I'm selecting this. The software is reading its RGB components, HLS components as well. So I have a good picture of what sort of color is this. And then when I select it and when I hit OK, then the software automatically names this material based on the name of the color. So should I want to create, I don't know, a glossy version or something, I can just extend the name like matte or glossy or something like that, or I just type here wallpaper and so on. So now I know that I have an RAL 7031 blue-gray wallpaper material. But what makes this a wallpaper? What makes this behaving the way I want it to behave, the way I want it to reflect or not reflect the surrounding? This lies down at the appearance. And now, as you can see here at the bottom left corner of this dialog, you actually find a kind of menu which is starting with the physical properties, appearance, even thermal parameters, hatching, and so on. Now I'm focusing on the physical properties. The physical properties, this is where I could type a size for this material if this would be based on a texture, and we will go back to that. But now I can set up the appearance, and I can say, okay, this is instead of a general material, which is kind of a Jolly Joker for materials, you can change all sort of settings here. We will talk a little bit about that later. Or you can just simply go with a matte surface, or you can just simply go with a wallpaper surface, for example, or something like a wall. Now, in case of a wall, you can see that it is kind of a little bit, tiny bit of, it has a tiny bit of a blurriness of reflection, and it has kind of a bright surface and so on. So this is what determines how this material will look like. You can tweak these settings, but the render styles are there for you to just use them, and you don't have to start tweaking the materials piece by piece, but you can do these later. So I'm good to go with this wallpaper, and notice that because I have been in the material wallpaper standard library, the software automatically creates this new material in the wallpaper standard library, and I can also type a producer if I know this, the maker of this painting or something like that. And then all I need to do is to set the appearance and hit OK. And now I will have this material here at the left hand side in the wallpaper standard library, which is named as I named it. And I still have the option to change all the settings. So now if I would like to apply this on a wall surface, I have a few options. First things first, I select the material and I click and drag and release the mouse button, and then I can say that I would like to use this as a painting, I would like to use this as a tiling, I would like to replace one material here and everywhere else, which is the same material, or I would like to replace this material only on this object. Now, if I would like to use a material especially for painting, I mean, we have this wall surface with its own layer structure and its own finish color, but if I would like to overpaint it, then I will use the as painting option. So in that case, I just hover my mouse over this wall surface, I click, and then it appears in this similar tone. And now, what about that? Why is that not the exact same color as we can see here at the left hand side? And now that is because the software is representing colors and textures based on their angle to the camera and based on the basic lighting, even though this is not a rendering. Now, what I can see here is that it is kind of brighter, and it's because we have a few kind of ambient lights around us, but I can quickly enable or disable this setting by using this navigation bar, and instead of using the basic realistic representation style, I used to use the consistent color, which is kind of just simply washing out these effects, and it shows the plain colors that I have selected. So now when I'm designing colors, when I'm working with the color design or the color space here in this 3D space, I usually use this consistent color option, and then I switch back to realistic color. And when I communicate with the clients, I use the same one, because this way I can just simply avoid the questions that why is that color is different than the other one that we have chosen previously. So I'm just simply using this representation style. This is also something that you can use for documentation, for kind of snapshots and so on. So this is also good for visuals as well. Now, if I turn back to this the other option, the realistic, now the surfaces get their own tone based on how they face to the camera and so on. Now I will go with this one, so now you understand what the difference, what sort of differences you can find there for the settings of the visual style. Okay, so now I've created a material based on a simple color. In the same way, I can actually create materials based on texture, but first I would like to show you also how to download ready-made materials, because ARCHLine is shipped with the built-in online material library, which is continuously growing, and you can find that here in the BIM libraries. You can just click here into interior and click here and find the showroom. This is the ARCHLine.XP showroom, where we have all the materials that the manufacturers who contacted us, they have provided their colors, materials, tilings, even objects, all sorts of things that you can apply here, and you will be able to browse through these libraries and easily find something that you think you like, because it is matching the design that you would like to use. Okay, so we have a few options here from these here. From the Ferron Ball, Hansker, Gardenia. So if I, for example, click here, I will be able to find several libraries for example, in this case, for textiles, because these are for curtain textiles, for example. And if I would like to go with this one, I like this Denver A304. I just click here and I say, okay, this is what I would like to download. This is what I would like to use. So I like it. I have a few base information of the color code and so on. So these are nice to be there. And so it helps me to decide what I would like to use, and then I click on download. Now the software automatically downloads this material into its certain library, because this is a fabric, because this is a textile. It was landed in the fabrics textile curtain library here by default, and now I know the name is Denver A304. So even if I forget where it was, I could just use search for 304 and I will be able to find it. Now I can again decide what I would like to do with that, and because now I don't want to use it as a painting, I would like to switch the material. I would like to swap the original material, whatever there was for the curtain before. I will use the replacing one material with another on this object. So, and because I'm in a different view, I'm navigating to the proper view, and I think this is the one that I would like to use. And then I just zoom in a little bit, so we will see when I click here, and the software changed this curtain here, and because this was one object, it changed it's both instances, and as you can see, it's kind of nicely transparent. But I can also change the properties for this. So if I hit escape and I would like to find this material, what the properties are for this material, I can just simply right click on this surface and say, okay, find this material to me. And now at the left hand side, I can see that it is set to be a general material with a certain kind of brightness, transparency, and so on. But still I have the option to change, for example, to a curtain here at the left hand side, and see now it's a little bit more bright and so on. So its physical properties changed a little bit. So now I can see how it looks like. When I do a rendering, I will show you some final renderings at the end. Obviously it will look a little bit different, but you have a generic idea how transparent, how bright, how tiled this pattern is. And now the good thing with these things that you can download from our showroom is that they are nicely tiled. I mean, they're seamless. You won't see the pattern repetition. These are nicely prepared for they are ready to use. Okay, so now I have this curtain material, and I would like to show you how to visit a certain website and download textures from there and create a material based on a texture. Now the difference between creating material based on a texture and creating material based on a color is very very small, because the whole thing is starting similar. You need to go to the material library, find the proper library, the sub-library where you would like to create your material, and then you need to click on create new material, and up until this point everything is the same. Now here what I need to do is either I need to browse a texture file, an image file, a JPEG or a PNG or something like that from my hard drive if I have saved it, or there's an even faster method which I will show you now. I open up the browser and now we will visit a website of a certain maker, and let me just load this on screen here and say, okay, this was the jab.eu website, and they have nice colored patterns and textures and fabrics and everything else. So I really recommend their products as well if you have the option to use them in your design. And this has a nice product range, and you can go to find different contents, and you can filter down to any sort of materials that you would like to use, or you can just simply use the product finder search field and say I'm willing to use a certain product named Cassolo. I think that will be the proper name, and well, perhaps not. Perhaps it's with double L, or it's in a different library. Let me just go to yeah, it's products, and what I'm looking for is wallpapers. And here in the wallpapers library, let's just go and yeah, well, there's no match here. So let's go back again and try to find something that is. Perhaps it's a little bit of graphic ornament or whatever. When you go here, you can search for these materials. Now I'm not finding anything, so I'm just picking up my favorites because I already have saved it, and then I just find a material that I like, and then I have the option, because now I'm registered user for this homepage. By the way, you need to register to be able to use their homepage. I can download this material. I have an information about, and this is very important, I have an information about the pattern repeat length. Now this is important because sometimes the image itself can be larger than the pattern repeat itself, which it contains. But when you know the pattern repeat, then you can properly set up the size of the material. So this is what I would like to download. That here at the right hand side, I can just download the material, but first I need to set up the media type and the media format. The media type is a image of the pattern repeat, and then I will click here and say, okay, I'm fine with an HD or an Office format. These are both okay for me because it's only 70 centimeters, 700 millimeters. So it's obviously perfectly fine if I just use a lower resolution. But if the pattern itself is larger, then I should go with a larger resolution. So now I'm going with this one. I like that, and I click on download. Then the software will visualize the material in a new browser window. Now this is already the JPEG file itself, only the pure JPEG, which I can use, and then I can right click here and say, okay, I would like to copy this image. So now it's on the Windows, it's in the memory of the Windows, it's on the clipboard, and now that is in the clipboard, I can just minimize this and go back here and say, I would like to paste it here. So now I'm pasting this material here and saying that, okay, this is also a wall surface. So now it reflects light correctly. It has the proper graininess and so on. And then what I also need to set up in this situation are two things. One is the name. So I need to click here and say, okay, this is, because I already created one, so I will just name it Cassolo 02. And this will be in size, and this is another important thing for the physical properties. You need to set up the proper size. Now I know that its pattern repeat is 700 millimeters, so I linked those two settings together, so I won't have a bad aspect ratio just by simply stretching one size and keeping the other one untouched. So I just lock these together and say, okay, these are 700, and let's just recalculate the rest. Okay, this is the new size. So now I have Cassolo 02 in my wallpaper standard library when I hit OK, and then I can apply it here on this wall surface. So let's just turn the camera around a little bit and say, okay, on this wall surface, I would like to use this Cassolo 02. This is already painted, so I need to change the painting. I don't want to overpaint the painting. I will just simply use the same method I used here in this case of the in case of the curtain. I will just click and drag and release and say, I would like to replace one material with another on this object where I click now. So I click here, and then now the material is changed. And as you can see, the pattern repetition is seamless because I only downloaded the pattern repeat, and the manufacturer design this pattern to be ready to use in visuals and in all sort of other situations when you need that seamless tiling. Okay, so this is what you need to look at when you download from any other sources. This was just one example. You can download materials and images from other makers' website. The point here is that you need to find the best way to have the proper pattern repeat and then paste it here and then use it on the wall surface. Now, actually, life is not that simple in some situations. Unfortunately, not all of the material patterns are nicely cut all around. So I will show you another method how you can edit a texture, especially for this wall surface. I would like to use another one. So for that purpose, I have already downloaded a material pattern. Let me just load that up and find it in my libraries. And this is here in my folder here in the webinar, and this will be something called the dandelion pattern. Okay, this is it here. This is what I have prepared previously. There's a library for me. I have downloaded several materials previously, and if you install the content of this tutorial as well, I will show you at the end. I have forgotten to do so in the beginning. Then you will be able to find the same materials, and you will be able to repeat what I'm doing now on this course. So if I would like to use this dandelion original material, I can just simply use it as a material. Now, to turn an image file into a material, you have several options, and one of those is that you simply bring it up in your file explorer and then just click and drag and release it over the design center. So when you do that, the software understands that this is an image file, and because I have dropped it into the design center, it thinks I would like to use it as a material. So that's a good guess. That's what I would like to use. Now, what I need to do is I would like to create a material which is 1000 by 1000. So I just again say, okay, this is the new size. Yeah, that's right. And then I would like to change its appearance again to turn it into something that I like here, and this will be wall in this case. I like this, so I will just keep these settings, and the name is blank here. You cannot type a name here because it will automatically take the name of the image file. So let's just say, okay, I'm willing to save this into my wallpaper library, and here I would like to create, well, I think I already created something in the standard library, so I just create a new library, new sub-library. This is my materials, for example. Let's say, okay, and then now I should have this here in the materials, in the my materials library, and this is the dandelion original 01 because I have already created a previously one. So I test this pattern, and we will see what the problem is with this pattern. So I just click and drag and release and say again, it's replacing one material with another on this object. So I just click here. Yeah, and yeah, that's the problem with that. It has these, you know, all the lines are obviously there where the pattern is trying to be continuous, but it is not. So how to fix a situation like this? To fix this, all I need to do is to place a copy, an instance of this material on my drawing and use the proper tools to fix it. So I just click and drag, release, and place this as a raster image. Okay, so now I just place the left corner point and right click, and it's automatically taking its default size. So now what I would like to do is I would like to find the proper place where this original image should have been cut to make it a seamless pattern. Usually this cutting should be done on the vertical side and then the horizontal side, either on the top or the bottom, and the left or the right. And the proper tool for this is in the local menu of this image. So you just right click on the image or left click and use this menu here. This is the same. And you can go to edit and find the what we would like to do now is make this pattern seamless. So the make seamless pattern option is that what I'm willing to go with. So I'm clicking here, and then now what I need to do, I need to either decide which horizontal or vertical sides I would like to change. So I'm picking this side here, and when I'm picking it with the left click, then it automatically makes a repetition, and that helps a lot for me to be able to find the proper place where this pattern, which was half cut, matches the other side, which was already there. So now I know that this should be cut like that, and then I repeat this either on the top or at the bottom to find the bottom line as well. As you can see, this pattern is nicely guiding me to be able to find where I should click, and then the software understands that, okay, from this picture, exactly this spot and this spot should be cut when I hit enter. And then now I have a new pattern with the proper repetition. Now it's not on the wall yet, because what I need to do also is to either click here and save as a new material, or I can try also resaving the material. And because I have changed the material that was already in use, it is automatically appearing in front of me on the wall surface as well. So now everything is fine, the material is fixed. I have this dandelion original material as a wallpaper material, as a wall material set back into my libraries properly. So whenever I would like to use it in new projects, I would be able to use this same pattern. I don't have to change it over and over and over again, because I have downloaded a wrong one, but I can fix it and I can use the proper one. Well, for materials, this is one very good thing that you can do. You don't need to use an image manipulator. You don't need to install any sort of other image manipulators to be able to do this. And I think ARCHLine is very handy and giving you a very good tool, a very powerful and very easy to manage tool to be able to find that pattern and then just cut, and then you have this here. Now also there is the situation when you found something online, you like the material, you like the pattern itself, but you don't like the tone. You want to change the tone. Perhaps it is bright, but you would like to have a darker tone. You would like to have an orange version of it, or perhaps you would like to have the same exact gray version that I used before. Before I used something that was based on an Arial color, and now I would like to have this same pattern, but with that Arial background. So how to do that? To be able to change the material itself, again, what I will do, I will just right click on this surface. I think I will just switch those two, and this is a better view. So I right click here, and again I find this material, and here at the left hand side between the options you will be able to find something that is called adding color. Now if I enable that, it's simply adding a white color, so there's actually no addition. I cannot see the changes, but if I click here and I find another color, the software will change the tone of this color, I mean the tone of this texture based on my selection. So it will actually overmix my original pattern with the new color. So I have used, this was the 731 from the Arial library, so let's just go with that. And I think I tried to find that easily here somewhere. Yeah, it is 7031 blue-gray, and say okay, I like that. And then now the software changed it, so now I have the exact same dandelion pattern with the color mixed on top of this texture. And this is something that I can also enable and disable at any time for this color to test. Even furthermore, if I have slight tonal changes and I just would like to check which one is better, then I can just enable and disable this option. And obviously if I would like to, I can create a new copy of this material based on this name. If you would like to make a copy of a material, you just click here and you can say that, okay, make a copy of that, and this will be, okay, yeah, this will be a copy, and this is, let's say this is the 731 dark version of this dandelion pattern. Okay, then now it's there in the library, so I can either I don't even have to recreate this again in new projects, but I can use them because it's in my own material library as well. So this is how you can overmix patterns. This applies for all other patterns. You can do the same with this leather surface, with the carpet surface, with the parquet, with whatever you would like to do this with. Just keep that in mind. If you already have a very dark pattern and you would like to mix it over with another color, it will have no or very small effect, because it is just, you know, overpainting the pixels with the color that you have selected, and black is the extreme of that range and it cannot be overpainted with anything. Okay, so this is how you can do something like that. And if I would like to do another example for this sort of manipulation, I could show you what happens with this lamp here. Now, in situations like this, perhaps you would like to have a material that is somewhere it is transparent and somewhere it isn't. Let me show you a great example for that. I think I have a nice rendered image for that, so I can show you what the result is, what I'm willing to look for. And this is a lamp from a maker, and it has a very specific shade around, which is by default it is black, but it has these bright cuts. These are, cutting through the shade, so you can see inside the shade itself. So how to do something like that? Now for that, image transparency comes in, and you can actually use a pattern like this. It's actually on my other screen here. This is the pattern that I used before, and this is the Cantaloup's pattern. This is a simple JPEG. It's even not a PNG with transparent. This has no transparency, and I will show you how to turn a non-transparent image into transparent image. So this is what I will use. Let's just close this, and I just click and drag it into the floor plan and place it, right click to place it in its original size, and let's start editing. How can I turn this into a transparent pattern? I can just right click here and say, okay, I would like to edit it and change it into, make it a transparent picture. So I click here, and then now the software asks me to pick up the transparent pixels. Now, everything that is white here on this image will be transparent. So I click into a white area, and then I set up that it is actually not opaque, it's fully transparent here. And then I say, okay, the software actually turns this into a transparent pattern. Now, when I'm using this and I'm turning this into a material, which can be done by right-clicking here and saying, okay, save this as a new material, and this will be in my own library. Yeah, that's fine. This will be, say it's a lamp shade, and it will be the Cantaloup's pattern. Let's just name it webinar, so I will easily find it. So this is made for the webinar. So let's say okay. And then now, well, another thing that I need to set up is that this is not tiled. This should be what we call it should be stretched. So now I don't know the size of this sphere, so I don't even know what the size of this pattern is. What I know that this should be completely wrapping around this spherical surface here, so that's why I'm choosing stretch. And then I can go with any sort of other material settings, perhaps glass, plastic, and so on. And then when I'm okay, I can just find this here in my material libraries in my own category. Sorry, this is somewhere else. Perhaps it's in the material library, materials, and I think it's here. Yeah, it's there in the lampshade. And this is what I would like to use. I just click and drag and apply it here. Again, using the same thing. I don't want to paint this surface. I would like to replace the original material on this object only, not anywhere else in this project. So only on this object. So when I click here, it is changing it automatically. And I think you can also see here a little bit at the left hand side that it is transparent. Now it's kind of pixelated here, and I think I should work on the continuity of this pattern as well. But as you can see, it is transparent only where bright pixels are, and everywhere else it is completely opaque. So you can design a material based on a simple JPEG and decide what part of that JPEG will be transparent, and then you can use it on a surface of any sort of surfaces of your design. So again, this is something that is nicely integrated into the software. You don't need to use a third-party image manipulator software for being able to do this, and you can just right away test it on the surfaces. So it's very fast, very quick and efficient when you would like to do such a thing. You don't have to model the shade like this. You can just simply use a complex pattern to turn it into a transparent pattern. And just imagine the possibilities. This is the same that you can do with, for example, a regular fence that is partially transparent, and there are the holes in the fence and the steel parts and so on. This is how exactly the same thing works for the fence, and the curtain surfaces. Similar curtain surfaces can be designed the same exact way. So I think this is all what I wanted to show you about creating the materials, changing the patterns, using the patterns. And now I did not highlight, but as you can see, the difference between a texture and the difference between the material itself, the texture itself is only the image. When we talk about that I'm applying a texture on a wall surface, it's kind of actually never true, because I'm always applying a material with all of its reflectivity, transparency, and so on. So when you bring in a texture into the software, you either use it as a raster image on your 2D plan, or you can use it as a material, and then in that case you turn it into a material. Now, talking about transparent materials, there's another example I wanted to show you, and that is with patterns that are by default transparent. And for that, I will just go and find another pattern here, and this is the this is not by default transparent, but if this would be a PNG, the black parts would be opaque and the brights transparent, and I can use this as a kind of an image painted on the wall. How to do that? For that, I'm again loading it into ARCHLine. I place it here and say okay. Right click here, and I would like to turn everything that is white into transparent. So again, I'm repeating myself. I'm just going to make picture transparent, turn this into transparent. Let's just make it fully opaque, so everything that is white will be fully transparent, and say okay. And then now I would like to right click here and save it as a new material into my material libraries, into my this should go to wallpaper perhaps, or perhaps wall paintings. Yeah, art is fine for this, and this is abstract wood webinar again. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I know the certain size of it, so I can change it here, and all other things are properly set, so I'm fine with that. So if I would like to apply it onto this wall surface, I will use the interior, and also here I can find the object picture on wall option, and then by default I place this option, but I will change this. Let me show you how to change a framed image into a kind of painted surface on the wall. You just go to the properties and you disable the framing, you disable the matting. This white part is the matting, and then you change the image itself. You change the image to the one that you have just imported. That was the wallpaper art, and this is the abstract wood. Yeah, I don't want to use the previous size. I would like to update the size with the new size of this image, so that's fine. And then I think I'm done with this, so I just hit OK. So now this image appeared here, with the wrong size, but let me just go back here and change it to, I think it was 800 by 800, or the size was different. Let me just change it to 1200 and 800. Yeah, I have forgotten enabling the maintain ratio. So let's just say okay, this is much better. So this is here, but it is not visible whether this is transparent or not. So I'm just going back to the material libraries, into the in model library, which is listing all the materials that was ever used in this project. And then I'm just simply using any sort of pattern that I used before, and I think I will just apply this castello on this wall surface and saying okay, I would like to replace this material on this surface, and see whether I have this option. Yeah, and it's there. Well, the color combination of these two is not the best, so I just undo this step, but now you can see that this is perfectly transparent. Okay, I can change its position, I can move it anywhere else, up and down. I can change its position by either moving it in the 3D or by changing the base offset from the floor. So this is how you can bring in something like that, which can be any sort of painting, any sort of ornament on the wall surface, and things that are based on simple transparent and non-transparent pixels as well. There is two more things I'm willing to cover today, and one is also connecting with the patterns, and that is how you can handle something that we call bump mapping, which changes how the surfaces are behaving in the 3D. So for that, I'm looking for a certain type of material, and this is, I think it was called blockwork. We have something like that in the library. Yeah, that's it. So I'm applying this material here on this surface and say, okay, I would like to replace this material on this object. So now it's nicely covered. It is a bit reflective. Now let's just check the properties, saying, okay, I would like to find this material. Let's just change also the size of this. And well, I would like to have something that has half the size like this. In that case, after I'm maintaining the aspect ratio, I just click here, and after the value, I just use divide by 2. And then the software recalculates that. By the way, you can use similar expressions wherever you need to type in values. You can multiply, divide values, you can add values, you can extract values, and so you can use all sorts of formulas like this. Okay, so now I have this pattern here. What is the thing that I'm talking about? I'm talking about something that you can find at the bottom of this list here. You can not only change the brightness of this material like I do now. I can make it a little bit brighter, darker. I can change its reflectivity, to make it a little bit more reflective or less reflective, and so on. But I can also change its bump mapping. The bump mapping is by default calculated based on the texture. Now I have a texture with bright and dark pixels. Then the software, having this feature turned on, calculates these pixels either being a little bit kind of bumping out or carved into the surface. And in that case, if I just change the scaling, I just use a very large scaling here, and you can see when I move the mouse around that it is having this sort of 3D surface effect, especially here you can see that. Perhaps I dial down the brightness a little bit. And then you can see how it, especially now, you can see that all the grounds between those tiles are kind of they look like they are deeper because they are bright pixels, and now the software calculates a very strong bump amplitude. You can also soften it like this, or you can make it more grainy. And also you can change the direction. It has a positive and a negative direction. If I change its direction to the other way around, then now everything that was dark is going into the surface and everything that is bright is coming outside. So I'm just turning it into round. And then on the render, I will test whether it's fine or I need to fine tune it. But now I think I'm satisfied with that. So okay, this is what we have when we are changing a material based on a texture. But what happens when I would like to change something that has perhaps no texture, like this here? This has only a color, this chair here. So I right click here and say, okay, find the material for me. And this is a pure white, pure kind of creamy color. And what I would like to do, I would like to change it to either leather or something like that. And then I can just go down here and say, I would like to change its bump mapping to something that is like a leather surface. See, now it appears here, we have a nice leather pattern applied onto it, and it has its own wrinkles and so on that we can see, and this is what we will see in the rendering as well. So now if you have something that is based on not a texture, then the software cannot calculate the texture pixels, so you can apply an additional built-in pattern that you can find here, or even you can go and find other material patterns. I mean, you can go to the libraries and you can find another pattern which is for the bump mapping. Those are specific images that are tailored for this sort of situation, specifically color coded, so you can use those as well. I don't have any prepared here on my desk now, so I just show you that that option here. Okay, so this is what we have now, and the last thing that I'm willing to show you is how to work with color cards. The color cards are kind of collections of materials that you can apply onto surfaces, and then you can just use them as color cards, and you can just quickly switch between those. So now, because I have already created a few options for this wall, I would like to turn those into a color card and show you how that works. Now, if you have something on the wall surface and you would like to turn that into a color card, you can just right click on it, find that material, and you can use the this little material menu and say that you would like to create a copy as a color card. Now, this color card will be it will be named as like that. I can just change this to, okay, let's just say this is a wallpaper color card. I even don't need the original name because I will have a few other options. So color card. Yeah, and then now this is where it will land. This will be in my library here, in my sub library. Let's just name it my color cards. The producer is whatever. It is actually mixed manufacturer, so I don't type a producer. And then now that I have this first option, I can just click here and say, okay, what else do I would like to use here? I would like to use that specific gray, I believe, that I used before, and it was in the standard library. And also the Castello. Okay, so let's just add that. And add that plain gray, this one. And let's just go with another one, perhaps with this this bright dandelion. Yeah, well, it's already there, so let me just remove that. And then let's just go with another one. I think, I think this will look nice. Okay, so you can just add as many options you want. These are already the options. The current setting will be this, and these are all the other options that you can switch between. So I can say okay. And then I find that color card. As you could see, actually it already turned into a color card. So I just go there and find my color cards. This is it here. So when I click here and I just click and drag it onto the wall surface and say, okay, so replace this with the color card. Then I have the option to manage all the options via the color card button here. So when I click here, I can say, okay, I would like to change this into something else. Perhaps it's appearing on my other screen. I cannot see that. Okay, let me just try it again. Change, find this material, and click here again. And yeah, that's it here. So I have all these options that I have designed to be able to choose. This is the first one. When I click here and I close that, it should appear there, but it's for some reason it's not appearing. Let me just see it again. So right click here, find material, and click here again and choose another option. Perhaps I'm doing things too fast. Let me just click here again and here. Yeah, well, I have chosen the original, which was not visible already, but because of that I couldn't see the result. So now I'm clicking on the Castello 2, I can see the Castello 2 option. I click on the RAL original gray, I see that option. I go to this one, I see that option, and when I'm going to this bright one, which was changed to a dark one, I can see that option. And these are all the 4 options that I have designed for this color card. Now the color cards are stored with the project, so you don't need to worry if you go to your clients with your laptop and you have created everything on your desktop computer. It will be there, so all the color card options and everything will go with the project, and you will be able to show these options to your clients. And also, if you do a real-time rendering for your clients, they will also see the changes just after a little bit of calculations for the software to switch these materials to the new ones. So these are all the things that I wanted to cover for this medium level demonstration, for this medium level course about the materials. We talked about how to create the materials, how to create materials out of colors, how to create materials out of patterns. We used actually many different options. We have downloaded patterns from websites. We used the built-in material options as well, and in the end we created what we call color cards, and those color cards are something that you can use to quickly switch between the different options on the wall surfaces. So this is what we end up with. So let's see what sort of questions do we have at the moment. I did not follow if we've got any, but I hope you could follow today's event and see everything that I wanted to show you. Okay, if you place one material on top of another, how does this affect the model? Well, it depends on how you use that. If you have the possibility to and this is why I used painting only the first time, because you have the possibility to overpaint surfaces, and in that case you have a stack of layers painted over each other. So after you already use painting on a wall surface and you don't want to paint different layers on top of each other, you need to change the material instead of overpainting it. One thing to reveal, if you go to the properties of the wall, for example, and you say, okay, I would like to change the properties of the wall surface, and I'm going here, I won't see this castle on the wall surface because it is not part of the wall, the original wall. It is painted over the wall surface, and this is something that is already the domain of tiling and tiled surfaces and painted surfaces in ARCHLine, which we have a different tutorial about. But this is why when you apply a painting on a surface, you won't see it in the properties of the item, because it is not the property of the item. It can be also partial on this wall surface. So now I colored the wall surface, but I could also paint the half of this wall surface. Okay, I hope this answers the question. And then please help how to create a specific video tutorial on how to create a material library for a manufacturer to share with their interior designers. Well, you should contact our partner manager. He is the one who is answering these sort of questions, and you will be answered. And the other one is that can an old photographic image be used to create a seamless image in order to match existing materials? A photographic image, yeah, you mean you take a photograph and how to turn that into a material? Yes, you can, though you need to take care of how that material pattern is lit. If it is not lit professionally, I mean it's not having an even lighting set around it, perhaps a softbox or something like that, you will end up with patterns that have parts. I'm trying to find something online for you to show. Let's say, okay, it's for example pocket pattern. Let's see what I end up with. Yeah, this is a good example. So I've just simply Googled for a pocket pattern. This is obviously a photograph, and this is not good for texture because it has very dark corners and very bright center. Now this is a situation where you will need a third-party image manipulator software to make it even, to over lit it and change its pattern. Sometimes it's not even possible with the tools that you have, but in this situation it is not ready to use. You need to work on that. But if it's not having this sort of problem, it is something like this, you can just simply download it the way I have downloaded it from the Jab website, and then you can import it and check its seamless pattern, repeat, and if it's fine you can use it. If it's not, then you can just use the same cut tool that I used. And another thing could be that you can actually just simply find something that is a photograph, but it has a perspective torsion on the image. In that case, you likely need to use again an image manipulator to even that angle in the image. And this is again something that after when you save it as a JPEG file or a PNG or whichever ARCHLine.XP supports, then you can import it and you can use it on the wall surfaces or whichever surface you would like to use it. Okay, let's see if we have another question, and that is actually here. Let's just see. Yeah. Yes, we can yes, and I think there is another question again about something with the partnering. Yes, we have a material library service. Yes, again, I can say that please do ask the partner manager. He's the one who you need to talk to if you would like to have that certain sort of material. Okay, I think I have answered all your questions. If not, if you still have any and this session is over, please just send us your questions either via email or either as a comment below. I'm very happy that you have been here, all of you, and you asked all these questions. These are very useful for us. These are giving us great feedback, and I'm happy that you could follow all these things. Should I have missed anything and you would like to learn anything more about, then please just again ask as a comment below or send us an email. If you like this content, please send us a thumbs up, click on the like button, and we are looking for meeting you next time on the next session. And yes, there is one other thing that I wanted to show you before the end of this session, and that's where you can find the materials that you can download from our website. And this is here in the webinars website, and you need to go here, and yeah, this is the today's session. You need to log in, and then after you logged in, you will be able to download the webinar files and the course guide as well. If you download the webinar files, that is a actually it is a an installer. It will install all files that I used and all the other files that we will use during these sessions, and then you can just follow the content that we have designed here for you to be able to create all the same sort of content. Okay, so thank you very much again. It was great to have this session with you. We will see each other next time in another session, and tomorrow my colleague will talk about the following tutorial which is the work with plans. Thank you again, and have a nice day.